So, hello, dear watcher and listener. This afternoon, I was playing around with Whisper Flow. And Whisper Flow is a really cool app I've been testing for a couple of weeks. And a friend of mine, Mark, put me onto it. And he was highlighting that, if you're not using Whisper, you're doing it wrong, right? You're doing life wrong. And what it does, it simply sits in your computer and you press a combination of keys whenever you want to transcribe your audio. So the idea being that if you need to respond to emails, you just press some buttons on your keyboard. I chose Control and Shift. So basically, just because they're toward the left of my keyboard, press Control and Shift, and Whisper Flow will listen and then take your audio and immediately transcribe it, and really, really, really very good quality. And then it just presents the text wherever your cursor is, right? So it's really cool. I was doing a 2-week demo, and I realized this afternoon that the demo had expired. And I thought, right, definitely $15. It's $15 a month. I mean, you can buy a whole year subscription, but I thought I'll do the month to month, and I'm just about to press subscribe. And I thought, can I make this? So that's what this little episode is about. In between phone calls and children coming in and out and me having to go and pick up from school and all that, I got Claude, which is my preference. Sometimes I'm a chat GPT guy, but I was using Claude today. I said, help me make a little app that will record my voice and transcribe it, and then just put the text where my cursor is. And I played around with first of all, Claude said, right, okay, you're on Mac, right, here's what we're going to do, Python. And no kidding, within about 6 minutes, I had the thing running. Not very good. It was only giving the transcription in the terminal window. It wasn't working as but I had it working. So I already have an OpenAI account with an API key, so that was very easy. And then I was telling Claude, look, this Python script's not working very well. It tried to then suggest that I make it into a packaged app. So the Python script with a packaged app, so I can just kind of double click on my desktop and it would work. That wasn't very satisfactory. And I said, look, I don't suppose, how would you do this with Xcode? And I've played around with Xcode. I've made some apps on my phone with Xcode for the longest time. So I'm a half, I wouldn't say I'm an expert at all, but I've got half a clue. Right, half a clue. So I flicked open Xcode, had to update it, and then got Claude to just, what am I doing again? Oh yeah, okay, just give me the code. And it says, look, put your API key in here, try this, play. No, it's not working because, and eventually it wasn't working because the keys that I was mapping were already being used by Whisper, the app, which of course is an excellent app. I was just testing with me. So having gone through a bit of debug, blah blah blah, I got it working. I think in about 30 minutes. Time elapsed was about 2 hours. Okay, because I've had to go and pick up children, make food, and so on. While my wife was just saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just doing a little bit of coding." So I am celebrating, dear listener, dear watcher. I'm celebrating because I've made my own Whisper. I've made my own little app, and then I got Claude to help me. I've exported it. Like, I do have. I'm not a complete newbie. I have an Apple developer account. In fact, I don't know if you actually need that, because what I've done is from Xcode, and Xcode is the software you use to make Apple apps work on your desktop, work on your phone, iPad, and so on. And I just had Xcode export the app. I built it and exported it onto my desktop, so it just works for me. It uses my API key. It doesn't work for anybody else, just for me. But it's brilliant. It works perfectly. I realized that it was echoing my my transcription results to the console, which is great. I'm thinking that's not very privacy focused, so I've taken that off. I realized it was always retaining a wave file, a recording wave file. I thought, yeah, it should delete that every time I've done the recording. I wanted some visual indicators, so when I do press Control and Shift, it actually shows me on the screen it's recording. So I've added that. I mean, I say I've added it, but Claude's done most of the heavy lifting here. Now, this I reckon, this is a little bit techie, right? I'm bordering on techie here. I hope you're following along. My point though on recording this is to say, look, I think we already know, but I felt like I should actually record a video to be clear that the world has changed. The world is changing. And I've had a few of these realizations or these kind of milestone points myself when I've just gone and made something. I've just gone and done this. I've got the AI system to do this or do that. I've been using these tools to help me create software for me, for my business, for operating and automating a lot of the stuff I need to do on a daily basis for some of the things I do. But if ever you needed a reminder, if ever I needed a reminder, and that's why I'm doing the video really, that the world has changed, just goodness me. So look, I don't want to take anything away from the Whisper Flow team. It's a fantastic app. It's really powerful. They've added more than what I've done. And I think they're, based on what I'm seeing is their app, I think it's got a lot more stuff on top of it that makes it even better, more context sensitive and so on. But I just wanted to see if it's possible. Now, goodness me, if it's that easy, what does it mean? What does it mean for business? What does it mean for financial institutions in particular? Now, I say financial institutions because I do a lot of work with banks. A lot of advisory, a lot of governance aspects, a lot of ideas, suggestions, and perspective around AI. But what does it mean for standard organizations? Because with this technology, I was able to be incredibly creative and with just a little bit of knowledge, right? So doing what I was, the first 5 minutes of this were probably quite heavy for anyone that's non-technical, right? I tried to make it reasonably accessible, but I wanted to also illustrate to anyone that's a bit technical, how things were working. Now, in the past, I have made my own code constantly. I've made apps and services. When I was 19, 20, 21, early 20s, I made the infrastructure for a lot of the systems that we were selling to our customers. PHP, MySQL, and so on. So I am a developer. I was a developer. Maybe I'm not as match fit as I was in my early 20s because I was constantly updating these systems, and this is all way before agile or those kind of things. But I know what it means to be a hard developer. I know what it means to be an infrastructure guy, an architect, and everything will roll into one because I've had to do it. Doesn't mean I'm brilliant at it, but the clients were satisfied and the system stayed live and they served millions of transactions a day. So I've got half a clue. And goodness me, if you've got half a clue, so that's if you understand how the technology is working, how the architecture is just a little bit more than a complete newbie, I think it's incredibly easy to be very fast and very effective. But what does it mean? I think we're going to have to rethink absolutely everything in terms of how organizations create, develop, and maintain. The systems and services that I can create for myself are just amazing. I've only really started recently. But what does it mean? What does it mean for those who aren't techie? Well, actually, you can upskill yourself very quickly with this technology. So if you start off saying, look, I don't know what's the database, what's MySQL? I mean, you'll need to put a bit of the hard work in at the moment. but you can learn it too very quickly and very effectively. And I do think that it's imperative that executives driving the strategy of their organizations see this stuff. I don't think it's good enough to read about it. I don't think, what reading an Economist or magazine article is good enough. And this is one of the things I do when I'm advising banks and other companies, not just banks, especially with the senior executives. I actually sit them down and say, "Watch." I'm gonna bring out my laptop, stick up on screen, say, "Look, let's try this out." And it's even more powerful if they have their laptops or computers in front of them. Say, "Look, you try it now. You try it." And in some cases, you need to set up the environment, get the whole thing ready, so they can just essentially just press a button, right? Because you say, "Look, I've set this thing up, I've set that up, I've done this, I've done that. There is an API key. Yeah, we've just made it easy. But now press a button, give the instructions, get it to do something. Okay, now get it to do something different. Now ask it to change the colors. Now do this." Once you begin to see, and it's only, I think you have to experience it. I think you have to go, wow. And I think it's also really important, having seen the, wow, it's really important to get an idea, even if you're non-techie, or if you haven't really been exposed that much to technology. It's really important to get an idea of where the limitations are as well. Because I was watching Claude, it was, talking me through, "Oh, try this." I'm thinking, this is just, come on. No. And it was me that said, "Look, why don't we just, it's obviously the application needs to use system resources easily. Why don't we make it into an app?" And it was me. I said, "Look, what if we did this with Xcode?" And it was Claude that then said, "Oh, okay, fine. Do this. But it was me saying, "Why don't we do it this way?" Its initial ideas, actually useless. Now look at that. I'm being emotive there. Not useless. It did work with Python. And of course, Python was a lot easier and quicker. So fair enough, Claude, fair enough. But actually, the implementation that I am happy with needed me to steer it. We're in a new world now. And it's, how do you enable the developers, the engineers in your organization to take advantage of this? And what are the processes? What are the processes to then begin to take anything that's test, anything that's just an idea? How do you take those into production? Because it's very easy doing what I've done. It's, into production, it's just me going, "Let's see if it works." I can do that on my home computer, right? I can do that in a nice little container because I've built a little container. Yeah, so it's just standalone. It just sitting there. I can press delete and the whole thing's gone, right? It's containerized. It's easy for me to delete it if necessary, and it's not doing anything. I'm looking through the code and understanding the code that Claude's writing, and it's not doing anything crazy. Like, I'm aware of everything it's doing. But that being said, I can't. This is not production grade at all. It's fine for me. So there's a whole lot of methodologies we're going to have to look at here. And this is a lot of the organizations I'm working with are either struggling with or actually going through that process at the minute to begin to look at how do you govern this from a development and code into production standpoint. How do you handle this? How do you enable your teams with this stuff? Absolutely fascinating. So look, this was just a stream of consciousness that I wanted to document it for myself. That now, today, look, I should point out, I've been using these systems to make some amazing. I say amazing. Well, it's amazing to me. Amazing automations and capability for myself and for some of the systems and companies that I'm running, right? But they haven't blown my mind as much. Essentially, as I said, I'm a PHP coder, so all I've been using these systems to augment me. Just change the colors, do this, do that, and it's really nice. And make the database stuff for this. It's been doing my dirty work essentially, instead of me having to sit and mess about with the code. But today, that's really been very, very impressive. I was going to say blown my mind. It's not blown my mind though. I was going to say that, but I'm just. This is a milestone for me that I was able to create an app that is so valuable now to me. Because I've been using the capability for a couple of weeks. It's really cool, right? That's with Whisper Flow. Do go and check it out. But the fact I was able to duplicate it and do it myself, yeah, the implications for software as a service are quite dramatic. Yeah, the implications. I mean, how's this going to be? What's this going to be like in 2 or 3 years? This is the worst, as many say, right? This is the worst AI is going to get. The worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better. Very, very impressive. So now look, no hard feelings at all to the Whisper Flow team. So let me just, what's the website? It is Whisper, WISPR flow.ai. Very impressive. But I just, I wanted to make my own as a proof of concept. So there we go. Stream of consciousness ending. And thank you for watching and listening.